Well, CBS's Director of Engineering and Operations once said that when you do Super Bowls, US Open tennis, Final Fours, World Series, you want to know that George Hoover is somewhere behind the camera. And this morning we are fortunate enough to be joined by George himself. And George, you've worked in the broadcast industry for a very long time. You are a pioneer when it comes to live remote broadcasts. And so ahead of the Super Bowl, I wanted to talk with you about what it's like putting together a Super Bowl broadcast, because I know you've been behind a fair amount of them. So, do you mind just explaining for us what it's like behind the lens?
No, thanks for having me on, Jess.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
The biggest challenge is this is CBS's A production team that's been working together for years, but the whole group since the beginning of the season, preseason, leading up to the game this year. So you've got a routine, you've got a plan. You've been used to doing shows with 25 or 30 cameras, and now all of a sudden you get to the big game. And there's all this ability to add more cameras, to add more replays, to add fancier graphics. But the biggest challenge for Jim Rickoff and Mike Arnold, the producer and director, is to not lose the game. That's their primary goal, is to cover the game. All this other stuff is enhancements so that they don't miss that replay that really told the story that may make the difference of the game. So
when it comes to those obstacles that have been, there are all sorts of hurdles that we've seen over the past year. I know our station has seen hurdles. I know every station, every broadcast has. And so I'm putting together a Super Bowl broadcast. The viewership is going to be huge, and people are going to be sitting on their couch looking for this broadcast that might be, higher quality in a lot of ways than ever. So what kind of obstacles has the pandemic created for something of this magnitude?
Well, it does two things for you. There'll be about 20 tractor trailers outside of the stadium that will be providing the facilities for the production. And normally the crew sits in them in seating that's not a whole lot better than an airplane. You're very close together. You can't do that anymore. So a truck that might have had 20 or 30 people in it now has 5 or 6. So everybody is distanced out, hence the reason there's many, many trailers. But the other thing is a lot of people will be working from home, or they'll be working back at CBS Sports headquarters in Fort Lauderdale or in CBS New York. But a lot of those cameras that can be remote controlled, the operators are in another city. A lot of the graphics people and the replay people will be working somewhere else. So you don't have that same ability to sit down together and have the pre-show camera meeting with the camera guys and their replay guys to talk about how you're going to handle it. But you've been working that way all season, so it's not new for the big game. That's the main thing. Another little difference here is CBS has to bring in and have a number of backup crew people, because if there's a COVID infection with one of the crew members in a trailer, that whole trailer full of crew is going to be replaced for the game day. So there's essentially a reserve team back at the hotel room quarantined just in case they need to step up the day of the game. And of course the crew's being tested every day. They're practicing all the appropriate social distancing and hand sanitizing, all that kind of stuff. But it still is just an extra layer of stuff you have to deal with.
Well, George, we really, really appreciate you taking the time to share all of this with us. It's so easy to take for granted these broadcasts that millions of dollars are poured into, and we just sit at home and turn on the TV. But to sort of get a little insight into that is pretty special. It makes you appreciate what we're going to see on Sunday night a little bit more.
Well, thanks for talking to me, and enjoy the game on Sunday.
Thank you, sir. All right. Hey, we're going to have this full conversation with George on our website at KOAMNewsNow.com, and we will be right back on the KOAM Morning News after this.